Greetings and God bless. So I am listening to the audiobook, that Doctors and Distillers book I put in the description box. And it was talking about there was this, I don't know, the 1800s or something like that. There was a pestilence that damaged the grapevines in France. And as a result, there wasn't um, a lot of wine. And in France, it was acceptable to drink like a pint of wine a day, and it was considered to remedy alcoholism. They didn't consider wine consumption alcoholic, and as a result, absinthe, which was this cheaper beverage, and it was easy to manufacture, that became the poor man's drink. And because people couldn't afford to buy wine, they just settled on absinthe. Um, like it wrecked the country, and it's very interesting because it's reminding me of what's going on with fentanyl and trank and just even pot. I would say, because the pot that I encountered, like in the 90s or even in the 80s, people were just relaxed or whatever. But now, in like what, um, you know, 40 years later or whatever, 20 years, 30 years later, the pot that I have observed, like they have these little, like, you know, freebasing containers and these crazy hookah things with, it looks like a distillery, and they're using blow torches to melt their drugs, freebase their drugs. Really, at least that's what I've seen here in Denver, in functional drug users' homes, where they're not half naked on the street without shoes. Like that's I see half naked on the street without shoes in Denver every day, almost. I mean, it's or if they're not half naked without shoes, they're screaming, they're hollering, they're dancing like a spooky marionette when there's no music, alone, just on the sidewalk. I mean, it's anyway. People may think I'm just being like a prude or whatever, but I don't know. When every day you see these mentally ill, drug addicted, homeless people everywhere you go, it's a bad look, and I do not recommend drug legalization at all. But especially, like, I think some locations really, like, there's other toxins that people's biology cannot handle. Because when I was in New York last summer, yeah, there was homeless people, yeah, there were mentally ill people, yeah, there were drug addicts, but they had shoes. They were wearing pants. Like, they were not like pooping on the bus or something like that. Like, so I think there's something, I don't know if it's something in the water, in the air in Denver, but making pot legal here is just, and I'm a newcomer. Um, I've heard locals say that Denver is just not a good place compared to how it used to be. And I've met people before I ever moved here that were like, "Yeah, Denver's terrible." And I was like, "Well, all the see, the thing is, all the real estate agents are like, yeah, Denver's great, blah, 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 blah." Oh my gosh, yeah, they're liars. I mean, if you're not in Denver proper, or if you're in the suburbs, yeah, you're insulated, just because it like the homeless people can't walk, or there's no bus to your area. Um, so anyway, yeah. So those, just wanted to point that out, um, and that toxic, uh, concentrated, manipulated, super refined recreational substances have occurred in the past, messed up countries before, because they're in this chapter on absinthe, this guy was saying the people of France are messed up. He didn't say just the poor people of France. He was like the people of France. It's a catastrophe. So I find this kind of hopeful that France had a bad wine crop. People got hooked on absinthe, like badly processed, badly produced absinthe, cheaply produced absinthe, and it made the people a wreck. But it nowadays France is a lovely place to visit. The wine situation is okay, and it's not a completely devastated culture. So I think, like, I think people, people generally they need something to keep them going. People cannot function in the world without a lot of help, without drugs, alcohol, some sort of addiction, some sort of neuromediation, neurotransmitter stimulation or something like that. And when we have healthy things like, I don't know, kava or homegrown organic pot or, organic wine or whatever, like I've heard like $100 vodka doesn't mess with you. Like doesn't, you're not, you don't have hangovers and stuff like that. Not that I recommend mind altering substances, but this is what I'm observing. Like, and I think like people have low grade illnesses, and these chemicals, these substances give them a boost of energy and or something so that they can function, so that they can go to work, so they can just handle this grind. Because work is not it's not easy. It's there's just all this built-in frustration and aggravation, and it's just everything that can go wrong is built to go wrong. It's built to disappoint. It's built to frustrate you. Uh, so and so like now, so a lot of Americans, especially in working class entry level jobs, they're using drugs, they're using alcohol, and people on a budget, they're buying cheap stuff or whatever. And from what I don't, I'm no expert, but uh, so there's just on the news or on the internet, there's a lot of videos showing people on fentanyl and now with trank that's eating their flesh. It just seems like another, episode of a catastrophic, um, you know, effect of cheap substance abuse, and it's destroying humans. And I just hope, I mean, I honestly think we're at the end of the world and Jesus is returning soon. But if that's not the case, hopefully people can find the soothing, the aid, the support to live and to function. Um, and like I like drinking, English breakfast tea, and I like, cake or soup. And maybe the people who are doing fentanyl and trank, they can find something that's more constructive, and yeah. So, but I actually find it helpful when I see what's going on in nowadays when and I see that something similar happened in history. Uh, so it just shows me this isn't the first rodeo, and who knows, maybe it's deliberate. I think a lot of the terrible drugs that are around, that are just totally incapacitating. Because that's the thing, like the drugs that, like even pot incapacitates people. Left to their own devices, they just smoke and stay at home and don't do anything. From what pot smokers have told me. Um, so there's probably like neurotropic drugs that make people active and functional and productive and creative, but those never make it to the market. I've never heard of anything like that. other than taking vitamins. And the funny thing is like the government wants to restrict vitamins. The government wants to restrict homeopathics. I mean, so it's clear what's going on here is that it's the people's interests are not at the like the principalities do not have our interests at heart. They want to only destroy us, and they want us to suffer and be as miserable as possible as we're being annihilated, it seems to me. So anyways, what do you think? I'd love to hear your comments, and thank you for watching. God bless.